Hi everyone and welcome to this video, and today I'm talking about the Cashflow Forecaster, which is part of the profit and cash section of the profit system. Now I want to start with a quote, and you may have seen this before if you've watched any videos by Tony Robbins, but he says, remember, anticipation is the ultimate power. Losers react, leaders anticipate. So the question will be, why have I shared this quote? Because cash is the most important thing in business, and if you do not have a forecast and an anticipation, it can cause you horrendous problems. Apart from burnout of the business owner, this is the biggest reason why businesses cease to trade. They run out of cash, and the sad thing is it's preventable. So it's such an important thing and you always need to be aware of where you are and what your cash position is. And this is an exercise I like to get into really early in the coaching relationship, because one, it gives the owner more confidence, and secondly, another big reason, it's harder and more time consuming to do when the business gets bigger. So I want all my clients to have clarity and anticipation for where they are in terms of cash wise. Now always remember that cash is king and anticipation is the ultimate power. So those things combined make this one of the most important things that a business can do. And having a cash flow forecast in place, especially when they're going through times of growth or when they're in times of struggle, either of those can cause serious business problems. Now, a lot of people don't realise that in a growing business, it needs a lot of cash. Growth can actually cause more problems because there isn't enough cash to fill that growth. Now, there are plenty of profitable businesses that are no longer with us, simply because they weren't paying enough attention to their cash position. So cash flow forecasting is an important process that can create huge opportunities if it's done correctly. But it can also cause a lot of problems for a business if it's ignored. And when it's done correctly, you can be more aggressive with your growth, because you can see when you can reinvest, what you can reinvest, and how much you can reinvest. But if you don't have a clue where your cash position is, then you can't do that. Think about this a little bit like the instrument panel in a jet aircraft. I mean, they're flying so fast, they've got to have that data of where they are and what's going on. And it's the same within a business. If you want the business to go fast, you've got to have a dialed in dashboard. So you know what's happening, where you are, what's changed, and be able to make decisions based on that. So here's the benefits of having cash flow forecasting in your business. Well, the number one is you're going to avoid bankruptcy. That's the key one. Now, when a business runs out of cash and it can't pay its bills, that's when it has to file for bankruptcy and the business is over. Now, thinking about it, I could forget the rest of this list, because that one alone should be enough to convince you to do cash flow forecasting. It also helps you visualise cash surpluses and shortages against your plans. It also helps you spot and address cash gaps before they happen. Help you track your spending so that you can stay on budget or within your budget. It will help you visualise future plans in terms of cash. So if you've got this big new project coming up you want to build, then brilliant, you can go, yeah, you know what, I can do that because I know my cash position. And it's going to help you understand what you can do to reinvest in the business. So those are just some of the key benefits of cash flow forecasting. The challenge is that it's a moving target and it changes virtually every day. Now, depending on the business, depending on how many staff, what kind of industry it's in, it can vary how quick the cash cycle changes. But for most businesses, it's changing quite often. So you've got to be on top of it. But the challenge is it's always changing and it's always updating. So how do you do that without it taking up too much of your time? Well, let me just explain the ideal cash flow forecasting system for you. This actually requires some setup, but I'm going to show you in a second a tool that I've created that you can use to do that. Now, it's not super sophisticated, but it's 100 times better than having nothing. So the first step will be to have integrated bookkeeping. Somewhere to track all the receipts as they happen. Maybe take a picture of it and then it gets uploaded once a week, and either an assistant or someone can directly put it into the software that allows you to do that. Even better is if it were to link direct to your bank account, so that the business owner is paying everything out of their business account, and that automatically synced to an accounting software like Xero or QuickBooks. Now all those major softwares do that, so that's the ideal situation where it's immediately coming in. The next thing is you've got to have some level of reconciliation. So you've got to say, okay, this was an expense for this was an expense for that, and then checking what's been bought in and what invoices are being paid. But again, if it's linked to the bank account, and up to 80-90% of that can often be done automatically, there might be some categorising of expenses, but a lot of it can be done automatically if it's properly set up with the bank account. And you want to do that reconciliation at least weekly, or you could do it daily. The problem is that if you're not updating the data, the forecast is completely useless. So there has to be data capture that's happening, and I'll show you how we do that with a tool that I've built in a second. Then you've got the reports, so you can produce and review them monthly or even weekly, so you can keep an eye on what that cash number is. And the business owner wants to be at such a level that he can just look at that cash number and know how the business is doing. So that's the ideal, where it's not complicated, you just know that you're on the right track. You can see the cash is growing and you're getting a feel for the trends within the business. Now, in an ideal world, you want this to be live fed by link to your bank account. And you want the reconciliation either daily or weekly, and you want the reports either weekly or monthly, so that you're able to review them. And it's important to review it. It's not just have these reports and not do anything with them. You're looking for the trends. For instance, is the business generating more operating cash? If it's not, is there a justifiable reason for that? Is it being reinvested into growth? Or is profitability low? Do other conversations need to be had? So it's really, really important. Now there's another key thing. When times are tough in businesses, some business owners just like to stick their head in the sand and avoid looking at the numbers. And that's the time when you should be looking at them twice or even 3 times as often. When times are tough, you want to go from looking at them once a week to twice a week or even daily. You might even want to do it twice a day. Now I've met people in business whose businesses are in real trouble and they want to hide away from the problems and pretend they don't exist. But those debts are just building, so you have to address it. We cannot escape reality. And so they've got to be looking even more often when times are tough or when you're fueling fast growth, so that you're not just putting yourself into a dangerous position. Now it's worth pointing out that when you've got your head bedded in the sand, something's sticking out waiting to be kicked. So what I've created is a cash flow forecaster for you. Now if you use Xero, there is an add-on tool for that that's way more sophisticated than what I've created here, because it's pure software. Now the tool is called Float, and you'll have to pay for it, but there will be advantages to using that because you'll be able to automate a lot of the manual input. Now I'm sure there will be other tools for other finance software packages as well, but I'm not too sure what they are. So this is what it looks like when you first open it up, and it comes in 3 sections. So you've got the cash position, which is at the top there. As you scroll down, this is the incoming money, which is from sales. That could be by customer, it could be by product. And down here, we've got all the outgoing money, which is cost of sale and overheads. So the first thing we need to do when we open up the sheet is adjust the current week. So this is set for the 31st of July, but what we do is just click on that and then let's put in, say, the 1st of August. And then it will automatically populate across the next 13 weeks. Next thing we need to do is put in the beginning cash figure, which is the cash in the bank. So let's say in this business they got £5,000 in the bank. That now spreads across there. So effectively, if there's no sales and there's no more money going out, you're going to begin with 5,000. At the end of 13 weeks, you're still going to have £5,000. But that's not a very good business, is it? So what we're going to do then is come down to the money that's coming in. And this is going to be best case scenario. It's going to be a guess, but it's an educated guess. So you can break this down, and I would recommend that you do break this down by things like customers, or by product, or by service. The more detail you can put into this, the easier it's going to be for you to spotlight issues. So what we'll say, let's just say we've got a customer that's paying us on a weekly basis, and they're paying £1,000. So what we can do with that is we can spread that then over the 13 weeks, and if you can look up here, now the cash is going up nicely. Let's say customer 2 is going to be paying us £2,000 there, £2,000 there, £2,000 there, sorry, back one. And we could have other sales. So let's just say we've got £15,000 of sales coming in there, £10,000 coming in there, and say another £7,000 coming in there. If we look up here, the cash position of this business now will be looking pretty goddamn good, £77,000. But we haven't paid any bills yet. But wouldn't that be a nice business? So what can we pay? Let's have a look at what we might be paying out. So we may be paying out rent. Let's just say we're paying a couple of £1,000 per month on rent. 1st of August, so we paid there. And paid there. We've also could be paying the owner's salary. And they're paying themselves monthly, they're paying, say, £4,000. Could have other expenses, so I'm just going to put some stuff in here. So that could be, I don't know, let's say we've got another expense going out there, and that's 5,000. That same expense is going out here, it's another, say, 6,000. And something going out here. Oops, 6,000. So if we go up and have a look at the top now, still got a pretty good cash position. So I need to put more bills in to make sure, so you can see this thing working properly. So one of the big things that can happen, and often does happen in businesses, is people forget they've got tax to pay. So in the UK we call it VAT. Other areas it's different. It goes by different names. But let's just say here we've got a nice big tax bill of £15,000. That is going to have a marked effect on the cash position. So you can see that there the cash is suddenly dipping down because of this big tax bill here. So there's a big hit in the graph there as the cash comes down, and then obviously it starts building up again. Now another thing that I want to show you that's useful with this is, because obviously when you get to the end of there, you've got no spreadsheet left. So what we need to do is move away this current week. So that you can see that, what I'm going to do, so you can see it actually happening, is I'm going to put in another expense here and pay out a big bill. So I'm going to say £20,000. That way. 20,000. If we go up here, that big blue thing there is that bill going out. So now if I want to move things along a week, so I just click Update Forecaster, and that week is now gone. And that bill has gone. Okay, so that's basically it. The only other thing I would say is, because these here are best case scenarios, you expect the customer to pay you. If for some reason the customer doesn't pay you, what I would do, or not, let's just say this customer one here was supposed to pay me £1,000, but for some reason it didn't land in my bank account. Having phoned the customer up, I would then get an agreement on when that's going to be paid, and I would move it into the next, to the period when it's going to be paid, and I would colour it red. That means that it stays red until that bill's paid, but it's always there. You can always see there's an issue with that bill. So basically that's it. Really, really simple tool, really useful tool, one that's going to help you see the future of your business, spot the trends in the business, spot the issues in the business, so that you can do something about them now. Any questions on it, just reach out.